Good evening, professionals. In our Global Corporate Law webinar series, this series of Friday of Global Corporate Laws, we are going to study and understand the provisions in Part 7 of Singapore Companies Act with regard to arrangement, reconstruction and amalgamation. Thanks to Aishwarya for this presentation. Some of the legends for our reference. And today's agenda will be, we will see the power to compromise with creditors, members and holders of units of shares. And what is the information that has to be submitted to these various stakeholders? We are going to call them, for the purpose of today's presentation, the persons involved in this scheme or arrangement. So what is the information that they would look forward for approving such scheme or arrangement? We are going to see. And upon receipt of the necessary approval, what is the requisite approval we will see, and upon receipt of such approval, how the order is passed by the court and what is the effect of this particular compromise, arrangement or amalgamation once it is submitted to the registrar, within what time it has to be submitted, and once it is submitted, it is the conclusive evidence for this compromise, arrangement or amalgamation we are going to see. And when few of the shareholders are not they are objecting or they are not approving for such scheme or arrangement, what is the effect or how these dissenting shareholders should be treated under Singapore Companies Act, and what is the joint offer under 215A, and we are also going to see the effect of impossibility when it comes to the question of communicating or accepting offer. In certain cases, how the validity acts when there is an impossibility of performance of the contract. How the validity is given effective with regard to such scheme or arrangement, we are going to see finally. This will be the first week of this series on Part 7 dealing with arrangement compromise. Power to compromise with creditors. We will begin with section 210, where the explanation clearly draws reference to arrangement as any reorganization of share capital. It could be either subdivision of shares. Say I have 10 rupee per share. I am subdividing and giving it as 2 rupee per share. Or I have class A, class B, class C, different classes of shares. I would like to consolidate the shares of different class into one ordinary share. So either for division of shares into shares of different class, one ordinary share getting converted into different classes, or consolidation of these shares of different classes, or a culmination of both, which involves both consolidation and subdivision. So how it has to be treated, we are going to see. And companies being wound up for this purpose refers to those corporations which are wound up under the specific provisions of Insolvency, Restructuring and Dissolution Act 2018. The holders of units of shares, of course, does not include those persons who are holding such units of shares beneficially. So the beneficial interest is carved out of this provision. Compromise or arrangement between a company and the three persons involved in such scheme, which is a compromise or arrangement, could be your creditors with the company, your members or any class of members with the company, or the holders of units of shares or any of them, which means any such class of shares if there is an arrangement between those class of shares with the company. So all these could lead to the compromise or arrangement, and all these persons are collectively referred for this purpose of discussion as persons involved. So where a compromise is proposed by the company, the persons involved, and in the case of company being wound up, the liquidator could make an application to the court. So submission of application is the first step. Once the application is submitted, the court may order for a meeting, in which case they will summon the persons who are involved in such manner as the court decides. And there could be adjournment of this meeting if the resolution is approved by majority representing 3/4 in value of the persons. And compromise or arrangement shall be binding when, if majority in number of persons, whether involved in person or by proxy, agree to such scheme or arrangement, or majority in such number as the court may order. Suppose the court orders that there shall be a representation of 3/4 in value, then such number of approval would lead to the effect on compromise or arrangement and not otherwise. And if it is approved by the order of the court, so when it is such number as proposed by the court or majority in number and such particular scheme of compromise or arrangement is approved by the order of the court, then it shall be binding on all the persons involved. That is your creditors, the holders of class of shares, your members. And in case of company being wound up, it shall be binding on the liquidator and contributories. Contributories, those who are contributing in the event of the company being wound up. Ultimately, your members. Lodging of order of court. Here comes the obligation of statutory reporting. Once the court order is obtained, it shall be lodged with the registrar. And same shall have effect upon such submission to the registrar. Or if the court provides an effective date before the filing date with the registrar, say I am filing it tomorrow, but the effective date is today, 6th November, then it will be given effective on today's date and as specified in the order. And for all the memorandum and articles of the company subsequent to this order being passed, this court order shall be attached. However, the court may order some class of companies from such requirement of annexing the court order to their constitution document. Or the court may also impose direction that these companies shall carry this particular annexure, the court order, as a part of their constitution document for such period as the court may prescribe. And if the meeting of the members insists by way of a resolution, the directors shall instruct the accountants or solicitors to report on the proposals if there is a scheme or arrangement and the material effect has some additional documents which are being sought for the material facts to be disseminated to the members or the persons involved in approving such compromise or arrangement, then the directors shall make such report available, the proposals, and forward such report to those persons who are concerned or who are interested to peruse those documents, and such reports shall be available at least 7 days before the court convened meeting. If there is a penalty, the company and officer in default shall be punishable with a fine not exceeding 2,000 Singapore dollars. We'll move to the next section, which is section 211. Information as to compromise with creditors, members, and holders of units of shares. Every notice shall be annexed with a statement explaining the effects of merger, which could be amalgamation, or effects of such compromise or arrangement, which leads to consolidation or subdivision of shares or any such change as provided in the scheme in detail. And if the debenture holder's rights are affected, the explanation by debenture trustee shall be substantiated. And material interest of directors, whether as directors in their capacity as directors or in their capacity as members or creditors or holders of class of shares, interest together with the effect thereon on such scheme shall be annexed together with the notice for convening this meeting and seeking the approval for such scheme of compromise or arrangement. Friends, prior to this, I think I missed this slide here. There is a restraint from proceeding where no order or resolution is passed for winding up. The court may restrain further proceeding against the company on receiving application from the persons involved. For example, there is this particular scheme or arrangement, in which case the court may restrain any other proceedings against the company except with the leave of the court. So the exception will be by leave of the court, such proceedings could be initiated and not otherwise, and subject to such other terms as the court may impose. And transfer of consideration to official receiver, if the compromise involves the money receipt or consideration, which is held in trust by a person, it shall be transferred to the official receiver after the expiration of 2 years and before the expiration of 10 years from the date of receipt of such consideration. And transfer of consideration as per section 197 of Insolvency, Restructuring and Dissolution Act. We already referred to company being wound up as the corporation which are wound up and as specified under Insolvency, Restructuring and Dissolution Act. So the same is drawn reference with regard to two instances, one unclaimed dividend and the other one unclaimed assets. With regard to unclaimed assets, where there is any unclaimed or undistributed money, it shall be treated as unclaimed assets, which will lie in the hands of official receiver. And now comes the information which has to be provided to all your persons involved in this scheme, compromise or arrangement. If notice is given by way of an advertisement, it includes by virtue of a notification that a statement can be obtained with regard to all these material facts as established in your scheme of compromise or arrangement, and every person involved shall, on making an application, be provided a copy of this statement, which means the creditors, members have every right to have access to all these statements, whether it is a material interest of director and its effect, or the effect of such director in his capacity as director or person involved in this scheme, or the explanation given by debenture trustee when it comes to affecting the rights of debenture holders. All these material facts, when sought for, has to be provided, and also at free of cost to all these persons involved. And every director and every trustee of debenture holder shall give notice to the company within 7 days of receipt of such request of information from all these people with regard to matters as may be sought for. If there is going to be a default in complying with this section, company and every officer in default shall be punishable with fine not exceeding 5,000 Singapore dollars and imprisonment for a term up to 12 months. Section 212. Now we had the court convened meeting. We have the necessary approval. And we have all the material facts in place which are required by the persons involved. Now comes the effect of this particular approval by the court. When an application is made to the court and under the scheme, the whole or any part of the undertaking is being transferred from A, transferor company, to B, the resulting company or the transferee company, the court may order for any of these 6 instances. 1, it could order for transferring the whole or part of the undertaking from the transferor to the transferee, which could involve any property liabilities. So assets, liabilities vest with the transferee company. When it comes to asset, it also includes all their interest on the shares. So the shares, debentures, policies, or other interests in the company which are required to be allotted. So which will be in consideration for the scheme being given effect to. And if there is going to be any legal proceeding, how it will continue or vest with the transferee company upon approval given by the order of the court. And dissolution without winding up. The transferor company need not again go to the liquidator and make a petition for winding up the company, because once it is transferred, the whole property, liabilities, legal proceedings, employees, everything gets vested and transferred automatically by virtue of the order of the court to this transferee company, and hence it is deemed to be dissolved without winding up. And provision to be made for any person who dissents. Here comes the provision for how to treat the dissenting shareholders. When the compromise or arrangement is not approved, how we are going to approach these dissenting shareholders, and what is the minimum approval that you will require so that you can proceed with treatment of dissenting shareholders, we will see in the subsequent slides. And such incidental matters to secure that the reconstruction is effectively carried out. So all these 6 shall also be by virtue of the order given by the court be given effective with regard to the transfer from the transferor company to the transferee resulting company. Lodging of order within 7 days, it shall be lodged with the registrar. And when it comes to land, the necessary authority, appropriate authority dealing with the registration and recording of land dealings shall also be submitted a copy of this order, so that the title shall vest with the transferee company and be given effect in the name of the B company. And the order shall have effect only when the entries are made by the respective authorities. And if there is a default on complying with this provision, there shall be a fine up to a sum of 2,000 Singapore dollars and also a default penalty. Liability for this purpose includes duties, and property includes, as mentioned earlier, all the rights and powers attached to of every description. 215. How we are going to treat people who are objecting, the persons involved who are going to object to the scheme of compromise or arrangement. Dissenting shareholder includes a person who has not assented or given his nod to the scheme or contract and who has failed to refuse the transfer of shares to the transferee in accordance with the scheme. If any scheme involves transfer of all shares in a particular class of the transferor company and when it is approved by the holders of not less than 90%. So the 90% is the minimum cap required to deal with this section 250 of dissenting shareholders. And this, however, comes out the treasury shares and the shares already, that is your investment shares and shares already held by the transferee company. The transferee company may at any time, upon fulfilling this condition of the threshold being met with, after the approval is being given, give notice to all these dissenting shareholders suo motu to acquire their shares as well. Within 1 month of receipt of this notice, the dissenting shareholder can make a notice to the court or require the transferor company to provide the details of the dissenting shareholders. Transferee company shall, unless on an application is made by such dissenting shareholder within 1 month from the date on which the notice is given or within 14 days of supplying this particular statement, whatever is sought by the dissenting shareholder, additional material effect on such scheme, whichever is later, be entitled and bound to acquire the shares. So upon these two instances happening, the transferee company is entitled and have legal binding on acquiring the shares of the dissenting shareholder. Under such scheme, the transferee company is holding 90% of the total shares or any particular class of shares, which includes treasury shares, then the transferee shall within 1 month from the date of transfer give notice to the dissenting shareholder. Within 3 months, such shareholder may require the transferee to acquire the shares, and in which case the transferee is entitled and bound to acquire those shares. If court has not made any order contrary to the above, after the expiry of 1 month from the date of notice or 14 days after providing the details of the dissenting shareholder, transferee can transfer this particular consideration for acquiring the shares of the transferor company. And such consideration which is agreed to be provided to this dissenting shareholder shall be held in a separate bank account and it shall be held by the transferor company in trust. And again, as we discussed in the previous provision, the transfer of consideration to official receiver, if such scheme involves any consideration which is held in trust, it shall be transferred after the expiration, the same period as indicated earlier, after the expiration of 2 years and before the expiration of 10 years to the official receiver from the date of receipt of this consideration. And treatment of consideration, again, the similar provision as per section 197 of your Insolvency Act. Any unclaimed or undistributed money shall be treated as unclaimed asset which will lie in the hands of official receiver. Joint offer. As the name goes, when the offer is made by 2 or more persons jointly, then section 215AA deals with the approval and the notices to be given, all those cases for approval of such compromise or arrangement. If the scheme involves an offer to acquire all of the shares or the shares of a particular class in a company by 2 or more persons jointly, they can exercise the right to acquire shares only if the conditions are satisfied. In case of acquisition by joint transferee, acquiring or unconditionally contracting to acquire the shares jointly. In case of acquisition of shares, it shall be acquisition of shares jointly, and in all other cases, which is not by way of acquisition of shares, in all such other instances, the joint transferee acquiring or unconditionally or conditionally, here you have that conditionally also added to this particular provision with regard to acquisition in other cases, to acquire the necessary shares where it could be either jointly or separately. So for shares, it is jointly. For all other cases, it could be conditional contract and also it could be several right for all these joint holders. And rights and obligations under this 215 shall mutatis mutandis apply for all these joint transferees as well, which means all the notices and how this particular application shall be made and what are the necessary submissions the persons involved, everything will be as per your charging section, which is section 215 for approval of the compromise. A notice is given to the dissenting shareholders has to be given by all the transferees, and any other notice sent or given by the transferee company will be construed as complied if it is given to any of them. Like how the joint holders right is held under any statute, that if it is given to the first holder, then it is construed as a sufficient compliance. The same provision is applicable in the case of 215A as well. 215AB is the effect of impossibility of communicating or accepting the offer. In certain instances, what is the legal effect or binding of such scheme or compromise when it is impossible for communicating this particular offer? What are those instances? In case of those shareholders who do not have an address, registered address in Singapore, or the offer was categorically decided to be not communicated to those shareholders in order to not violate the law of the country, which is the laws, governing laws in Singapore, or the communication to those shareholders would in circumstances be unduly onerous, or this particular offer is already well disseminated in the public domain by virtue of publishing in an official gazette, or by disseminating this information on the official website, or a copy of it could be obtained at a place in Singapore with prominent locality, which is again clearly established by providing this on the website, or again the such particular dissemination of information of this offer is well available by virtue of publication in the gazette specifying the address of the place where such copies could be obtained. In all other cases where an offer to acquire shares is not communicated to the shareholders, the same does not prevent the company from making an offer under section 215. So it is construed as a valid offer made under section 215 to the persons involved. So where an offer is made to acquire shares and there are persons for whom by reason of the law of the country or territory outside Singapore, it is impossible to accept the offer, or it is practically difficult to do so, it does not prevent the offer from being made under section 215 of the Act. So this is the effect of impossibility of communicating the offer or accepting the offer. Friends, with this, we are putting an end to this part 7 of compromise arrangement. However, we will continue with the same provision in our next Friday webinar on global corporate laws. Until then, take care, stay safe. Have a safe weekend.